Hey, what's up, everybody? Clue here from MWM. Have you ever found yourself mindlessly dialing the sliders and values of a material instance just to get a really unique look, one that really resonates with you? Well, if so, stick around and I'll show you how we can create this cool widget that by the click of one button, you can generate as many instances of you want, all with unique values based on the material parameters that you've got exposed. Let's jump straight into it. Let's start by creating material. For those that already have a material with exposed parameters, please feel free to skip ahead to the widget. If you right click in the open space here, head over to material and choose material. We'll just call this main2. And what we'll be starting off with is a world position offset. And this material is going to be a very simplistic noise texture just for demonstration purposes. All right, off of the absolute world position XYZ node, we're going to drag off the pin and choose a divide node. This is going to serve as the scale for our noise. And we can use it to programmatically dial in the scale of the noise. Right. We can just preview this node to see what we've got. Let's add a value to the divide node. If you hold S on the keyboard and click, you will get a scalar parameter. We'll call this scale. And wire this up to the B pin of the divide node. Let's start off with a value of around 40. I found that is a really good starting point. And this will serve as our baseline minimum for our texture itself. Right. Next, we're going to lerp the noise through two colors. If you hold down 3 on the keyboard and click, you will get a color node or a vector 3 node. And here we can basically just choose the colors that we want. For this demo, I'll use red as the top color and we'll use yellowish one at the bottom. All right, if you hold L and push on the keyboard, you'll get a lerp node. This is going to blend the two colors based on our noise input. And we wire the output of the noise straight onto the alpha of the lerp. And we can wire the lerp node straight up to the base color. And just turn this preview off if you've got it on, and we can see what it looks like. So as you can see, we've got this cool red and yellow kind of noisy effect. But to take it one step further, we can add a little bit of depth by just creating a little normals section. If you right click and choose DDX, and right click, choose DDY, this is going to set us up for a nice little noise, just a subtle noise texture onto the material. All right, we'll feed both of these to a make float 3 node. So wire the DDX up to the R channel, the DDY up to the G channel, and then the final output of the make float 3, we can just normalize the output itself and wire this up all the way to the normals. And now we'll see that we've got something that looks extremely horrible. We forgot to change the value of the B channel here. Just make this 1 and it will dial down the noise and make it a little bit less ugly. The last thing you need to do is turn the colors into parameters. You can right click on the nodes and convert to parameter. We'll just call this color 1, and the one at the bottom we will just call this color 2. Feel free to use more descriptive names if you want. To start this widget, right click in the content browser, head over to Editor Utilities and choose Editor Utility Widget. Then scroll down and we'll choose a vertical box for this widget. And let's just call this EUW_gen. Keep it nice and simple. Once you open the widget, click on full screen and change it to desired because we just want a small little widget. And then we'll add a text block, sorry. And we also need a utility editable text box, which will be how many instances you want to create. Then we need a property view. So choose a single property view, and this one is going to be filled with the material instance that we want to duplicate. So it'll be easy to swap out materials on the fly. And then lastly, we need a button to do all the magic for us. And then I'm just going to duplicate this text block and then just add it to the button. And then for that one, we're just going to call this generate. For the label, we can just say number to generate. And then on the input box, just scroll down to the font size and just make it something reasonable like 24, just so that we can actually see what we're doing. Just remember to compile that, and then we'll just rename this single property view to just material view. All right, make sure that this one is a variable because we will be editing the object in the background. Right, now once that's created, I'll just fix up some of this stuff here. Okay, cool. Once that's created, nope, sorry, we need to center the text. Right, select the button, scroll down to the events, and select the on-clicked wire up event to the on-clicked event. Right, so we don't need event tick or construct. What we will need is to wire something up to the pre-construct so that we can actually see the material instance. Now, before we do that, we need to create a variable. This will be our material instance. So I'm just calling it mat for now. And then the variable type will be a material instance constant object reference. You can go ahead and compile that. And then we can actually just select this one by default. So if you just open the content drawer, head over to the material that you want. Before we do that, we need to create an instance of our new material first. So head over to the content browser, right click on your material and choose create material instance. And then we'll just leave this one as the default name that it gives us as main2 instance. Right, with that one selected, go back to the widget and then make sure you've got your variable selected, and then you can either choose it from the drop-down list here, or you can have, if you have it selected, you can click this arrow and it will pre-fill it for you. We can go ahead and compile that. Drag in the property view into the widget and select set object from here. And then for the new object, we just get a reference to the widget. So just do a reference to self, wire that up. Then we need another instance of this. You can either pull off the same pin or just drag in a new one. And then we want to do set property name. This is going to allow us to fill this property within the widget. Now the name that we want to set here must match the variable name that you've got. So for this, we just call it mat. And if we compile now, because it's on the pre-construct, we should be able to see it in the designer, and we see that it's set there. Now let's go back to the event graph and start wiring up the buttons click event. Right, so for this one, we're just going to do a for loop to basically loop through the amount of instances we want to create. For the first index, we want to start at 1 because it's zero-based index. If we don't start at 1, it'll create an extra 1 unless we minus a value from here. 1 is just a lot simpler. Right, pull your editor input box into the screen and do a get text. We just need to get the value from here. And we need to just set this to a string. And then we can wire this up to the number there and it will convert it to a number for us. Right, then off of the loop body, pull off another pin and say get asset tools. This is going to allow us to duplicate assets. Right, and we can just pull off the return value and choose duplicate assets. And the asset that we want to duplicate will be our material. We can just drag that onto the original object and we can put this out the way. For the sake of this demo, the package path I will be hard coding. This is something that you can expose into the widget itself so that it's more settable and more dynamic. But for now, we're just going to save it to game autogen. For the asset name, we need a unique name. So what we'll be doing there, we'll be getting an instance of the material, and we're going to say get display name. this is going to give us the name of the material. Don't choose the top one, choose this bottom one. Right, and then from this value, we just want to do an append, because we just want to append a unique piece of string onto it. So the asset name will be the material name that you've given it, and then we're going to add this unique value onto it. So we can just do a new GUID, and we have to do a toString. Alpha doesn't want to convert it for us, and then we can plug this into here. So this will ensure that the new asset name has a unique value. It's not going to give us problems later on. All right, now we can actually start manipulating. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that this thing is valid, that the material actually was able to duplicate. And then off of the is valid pin, we need to cast this object, because this is just now at the moment a normal object. We need to make an object reference to material instance. So we need to cast to a material instance constant, so that we can actually get the values of our material. Okay. Once that's done, we can pull off of this pin here and say set parameter, set scalar, set material instance scalar parameter value. So the first one that we're going to be doing is, if we head over to our material, we're going to plug in the scale here. So this scale parameter name is the name that we enter here. Right, and it takes a float. So what we want to do is we want a random value between, let's say 40, which is a good instance. You can go lower, but we want to do 40, and let's do around 300. Let's see, this is quite large. So I think we can work with this. So we'll do a value between 40 and 300. I think that is a good starting point for us. So we can just do random float in range, not from stream. Random float in range. And here we're just going to say the minimum value that we want is 440, and then the max we want to generate is 300. So it will, every time it runs, it'll randomly pick a value over here. We can just move that into there. And then the last one that I want to set is the color one. So we can just do another one, and we can just go set material, and then we can just go vector, because the color is just a vector node. We can wire this one in, and we call this one just color one. So just make it the variable name that you chose if you didn't choose color one as well. Then for the color itself, we will just be randomly generating a color based on random inputs again. So we can just pull off this node and just choose make color. And then this is going to give us a node where we can choose the red, green, and blue channels. So we'll just select this random float. We'll copy and we'll duplicate this one. And then the minimum here will be 0, and we'll choose 1. You can play with other values if you want only a different color range. But for now, we'll just choose any random color that will come out of here. And we'll wire this up to both the nodes, all 3 nodes, to red, green, and blue. Let's compile and save that. And that should be the setup. Let's test it out. So if we head back over to the content drawer and you right-click on this new widget that we created, you can choose Run Editor Widget, and it will pop it out over here. And let's test this out. So we've got, let's say we just want to test it one. We hit the Generate button, and boom, there we've got our value. We can do 5, generate, and they're all different. And now what we can do is you can now choose another one, another material instance, add that into here, and let's generate 5 of those. That's all I wanted to show today, guys. If you like this content, please let me know down below in the comments. Or if you want future workflow improvement videos, please let me know, and I can definitely see what I can do for you. Right, see you in the next one. Bye.